We are joined right now by the athletics director at Mississippi State, John Cohen. John, certainly appreciate some of your time. Hey, Dad told me yesterday when he set this up that the only thing you were willing to talk about was the new tennis facility. Is that accurate?
That's one of the many things I enjoy talking about. But, yeah, we can talk about that, sure.
We might hold that to the end, and if we have a little bit of time, circle back to it, if it's all the same to you. I think we got to start with what happened yesterday afternoon. It was right before we came to the show, I guess about 1:30 or so. We saw the tweet from Kodylin Hill, and I don't have it in front of me word for word, but paraphrasing said, "Until the Mississippi flag is changed, I'm done playing for the state of Mississippi." What was your reaction to the tweet from the star running back, arguably the most important player on Mississippi State's football team?
Well, I think Kodylin is showing a frustration that we all kind of feel here at Mississippi State. And I can't speak for everyone around the state of Mississippi, but there's definitely a frustration. I understand it completely. We're in full support of Kodylin. He absolutely has the right to express his opinion, and obviously it's an opinion that's held by many, which is we need a change here in the state of Mississippi, and I completely understand that.
John, there were some other players that kind of said to him in responses on Twitter that they support him. Do you anticipate that this is something that turns into a movement, or do you think this is very much an individual decision by Kodylin?
Well, I'm not, to be honest with you, that's not the part we are focused on right now. I think collectively as a department, as a university, we're focused on the change, and we believe it's still possible. We believe that the legislature and the great people of the state of Mississippi are going to make the right decision and make a change in our flag. So that's really our focus right now. I've reached out to many of our student athletes over the social unrest that we have and gotten their feelings, gotten their thoughts. We're all available to them, and we're going to be here for them throughout all of this. Again, this isn't something we check off on a box. This is something that's part of our responsibility to our student athletes. And, our focus right now is on kind of righting a wrong, to be honest with you.
I know Dr. Keenum is, and I'm being complimentary when I say this, extremely savvy politically and understands the way that it works. And I know he's working with the legislature. Is there anything that you've heard today, yesterday, overnight, that gives you optimism to think that this is moving in the right direction? And as I asked that, I would point to a release from the Mississippi Economic Council. I didn't count the names, but there must have been 50 or 60 signatures from presidents and CEOs and business leaders all over the state of Mississippi today coming out and saying that they support a flag change.
Yeah, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of our state. You can feel that our state wants to put its arms around change. The question is mechanically, how does that get done? Again, I have a lot of faith in our government. I have a lot of faith in the legislature. I really, truly believe they're going to do the right thing. If they don't, it's going to cost Mississippi State and Ole Miss and Southern Miss and really, quite frankly, all of our campuses. It's going to cost us all. And selfishly, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I really don't think it's fair that our student athletes, their coaches, our staff members could possibly have to pay a price for something they had absolutely nothing to do with. That part's disappointing, but I really understand why the NCAA did what they did. I understand why Greg Sankey said what they said. They believe, as I do, that it's time for a change.
Hey, John, Brian, hey, Dad. Obviously, Mississippi State's been very vocal in wanting change, but so is Ole Miss and so is Southern Mississippi. Has there been any communication between you, Keith Carter, Jeremy McClain about how you guys can work together to find a solution on this?
Yeah, in fact, I was on a conference call today with Keith. Yeah, I mean, we talked several times. Many of the times we've talked, it's been about the COVID situation and about how we're going to handle attendance at football and things of that nature. But yes, more recently, we have discussed the social unrest. We've discussed the state flag issue. I think, obviously I can't speak for Keith, but I believe we're in lockstep. I believe that we believe the same things, and we really appreciate. I appreciate their partnership in this because we view this as no question the right thing to do.
John Cohen, athletics director at Mississippi State, on your radio right now. Have you heard from other ADs in the league who are sympathetic to what you're dealing with? I know Dr. Keenum told us on Friday that all 14 presidents in the SEC were on the call when Greg Sankey kind of informed them of the announcement that was coming last Thursday night, I guess it was. So have you heard anything from fellow athletics directors?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I speak to Greg Byrne a great deal. I speak to Scott Strickland, seems like almost daily. Scott was raised in this state, has a tremendous heart for the state, believes in the state of Mississippi. And I run several things by those guys. I'm not somebody who believes that John Cohen has all the answers. I reach out to many of my friends in this around the league and around the country to ask them for advice in several areas. And, certainly this has been a topic of discussion, and everybody in this league has been supportive for this cause.
John, this is putting the cart way, way before the horse. And certainly we all, I think we're all in lockstep with you and with Keith and with all the other people who have said we want to see the change happen. Given that says you can't host a regional based on what the NCAA said. Let's just talk baseball specifically. Is there a scenario where if you played yourself into the earning the opportunity to host, that could happen somewhere else with you still as technically a host? If it were in Hoover or in Memphis, or have you even given any thought to that?
Sure, Richard. In fact, we put a great deal of thought into that, and we're researching what our options are. There are several questions we have to ask, and we have already looked into every type of possibility. Why? Because we owe that to our great fans. We owe that to, our programs that could potentially have a chance to host. So we have already started that process and looked into any eventuality for the future.
Do you find yourself sitting here a little helpless right now?
I wouldn't say helpless. I'm reaching out to people all over the state of Mississippi to try and tell them what's at stake here. And what's at stake is much, much more important, in my opinion, than athletics. It goes way beyond that. Now, I know you guys have spent a ton of time discussing this on your show. But this is a critical juncture in our state's history. I really believe that. And I'm a fan of our state. I believe in our state. And that's, I truly believe we're going to do the right thing. These things don't often happen as quickly as we want them to. But the fact that there is a ton of discussion going on in Jackson, Mississippi right now gives me a great deal, makes me feel better about our state and about the people who are governing our state. So I think change is coming. And I'm very optimistic about that.
John, is the biggest concern right now, beyond the votes being in place to make some sort of a change, the clock, in so much as the legislature is scheduled to end this session on Friday of this week?
Yeah, I think, I'm not a parliamentarian. I'm not an expert on government. Maybe I should have paid a little more attention to my mother. She taught government and history in high school. But what I do know is there are things that can be done. There are extensions, that can be put in place. And even though I don't know all the tricks of the trade, I know that things can be done. And again, I have a belief that the folks down there are going to do what is right. And I believe that it's. I believe that this is what is right for our state, and more selfishly, I think it's what's right for our student athletes, and I believe it's what's right for Mississippi State University and quite frankly, all the schools in the state of Mississippi.
John, really appreciate your time this afternoon. I know this is a difficult time. We're hopeful that the change is coming in the positive, and thank you for spending a few minutes with us today.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.